Buenos días, nosotros somos la asociación de IndianaJones de España y lo primero que queremos es agradecerle la oportunidad que nos da de realizar esta entrevista.
Okay, thank you very much. You can speak up too,
lo primero sería preguntarle qué tal está apareciendo el Cinefan Festival y el concierto, o si ha asistido a la exposición que hemos realizado en la asociación en el museo y qué le está pareciendo todo el evento.
Well, of course, I have not been to any of the conferences because I speak no Spanish, or very little. 15 palabras. But what I have seen of other things have been very, very good. The exhibition at the museum is excellent, very good, and of course, as you know, the restoration work in this town is perfect, absolutely wonderful. And of course, I heard the music we heard last night many times, but I have never heard it better played by this wonderful orchestra of very young people.
Interpretativamente hablando, ¿a qué le tiene más cariño, al teatro o al cine?
I became an actor to work in the theatre. When I started as an actor, that was the main thing. If you were lucky, you maybe got into a film. If you were very lucky, you became a film star. That was not expected. My main love is the theatre, always will be theatre, but I also very much like doing film. It's a completely different atmosphere, and it's a different technique, film acting and theatre acting, but it's the same thing in here.
El personaje que ha interpretado del que se siente más orgulloso.
Well, I am most proud of a play which you have never heard of, so I won't bother to tell you. King Lear, on film, Indiana Jones, the best part I've played on film, and the most superb cast, and of course the greatest director in the world, so it has to be my favorite.
¿Y cuál es la interpretación que más dificultades le ha tenido para realizar?
Well, it was a film called The Magus, directed by a lovely man called Guy Green, starring Michael Caine, and all set in Spain, wonderful location. And it was completely ruined by the leading actor, the other leading actor, whose name I will not mention. He made life a misery, and so all the joy during the film was taken away. In the theatre, many parts have been very difficult, particularly in Shakespeare, because of the responsibility to the writer. There is no question that he is the greatest writer the world ever produced, and to perform his works is such a privilege, but very difficult. But the other side of that is that when you get it right, it is almost sexual in pleasure to get it right. It's true. So.
Roger Moore le llamaba señor Teatro Nacional por todos sus años trabajando en el teatro. ¿Cree que ahora le debería llamar el comandante de la Orden del Imperio Británico debido a su reciente nombramiento? Por los años trabajando en el
How do they know that?
For your years working in theatre, British Empire.
When people have said, do you think I should bow to you in the street? And I say, no, a slight indication of the head would do. Inclination, slight inclination of the head would do. How did he find out these things?
Sus papeles más conocidos siempre han sido interpretando a villanos. ¿Le gusta realizar este tipo de personajes o prefiere realizar otro tipo de personajes?
Yes, I do, if they're good. Sometimes you get a villain who is just a villain. He does bad things, and you can't find why. It's impossible to play a villain unless you play him as a human being. I remember being in a film called Hitler, The Last 10 Days, with Alec Guinness, playing the most dangerous man in the 20th century. And he really examined what was the matter with Hitler. And this gentle, kind, good man that Hitler was in his private life, what it was that made him like this. It's not an accident, it was an intellectual and emotional skewer in Hitler. And that made Alec Guinness's performance breathtaking. I would say the two best known of my villains, Walter Donovan, Indiana Jones, and Irish Christatos from To Your Eyes Only. Well, with Christatos, who was a very successful businessman, but he needed a great deal more money because he was training this young woman for the Olympics, paying for all of this. And so he twisted his mind into justifying working for the wrong side. Can I hang on to that? In Indiana Jones, I will simply say, what would you do for the secret of eternal life?
¿Hay algún tipo de interpretación que falte en su carrera que no haya realizado todavía?
Yeah, which I will never do. Hamlet, Coriolanus, Posthumous in Cymbeline, the old Shakespeare parts. And I have never worked in Chekhov, and I really regret that. I have not played those parts because I'm not a heroic actor. I'm well, a very strong supporting actor, and this is why I have a happy life, because I'm not a star, so I don't get pestered by people coming in all the time. But I'm well known in my country, and this is comfortable, and people are kind to me.
Si no hubiese interpretado el papel de Walter Donovan, ¿qué personaje de la saga de Indiana Jones le hubiese gustado interpretar?
Oh, Indiana Jones, no. Well, I'd like to have played
Yeah,
Indiana Jones. That would have been very good, original. No, nothing else. Well, any of the bad men in Indiana Jones have been very interesting characters. Very interesting characters. And of course, in the Bond film, the most recent one, is absolutely magnificent. Yeah. Magnificent buddy. Yeah. And he's had a reason for it. They all have reasons. Goldfinger, no reason. Doctor Who, Doctor No. But he had a reason in the last one. I'm sorry, I divert, sorry.
Sabemos que Harrison Ford y Sean Connery son bastante divertidos durante los rodajes. ¿Recuerda algún momento divertido durante el rodaje de Indiana Jones y la última cruzada?
Well, I didn't work with Sean on the film, but I have worked with Sean, but of course on Indiana Jones. But yeah, I can remember one in Indiana Jones when Steven Spielberg encourages actors to improvise, not improvise, but to have a contribution. And sometimes they come very surprisingly. Sometimes he accepts them, sometimes he just laughs and ignores them. But on one occasion, in the scene in Indiana Jones when I am discovered to be the bad man, Sean Connery and Harrison Ford are tied together with their hands behind, looking this way. And they're having a conversation like that. And the question of the girl, whom Harrison is Indiana Jones is very interested in, comes up. And Sean, he made this up on the set while we were I don't know what the original line was, I can't remember now, but Sean's character says that she's German, of course. And Harrison says, how do you know that? Because she talks in her sleep. And once on the Bond film, it was the middle of the night, a night shoot, very hot in Greece and Corfu. And the extras, who were local people, who are dignitary, very smart set, who thought it would be so glamorous, to be on films. Discovered by 4 in the morning that it wasn't very glamorous, and we're beginning to go and get bored and behave rather badly. So he won't have this, Roger. He will always find some way around it. And there's a scene when Ian brought some food, prevers of prawns, and in came the waiter. I don't think I recognised the waiter from last time, but we think of other things. And the waiter poured all my prevers of prawns into my lap. And then the waiter took off her wig and her moustache, and it was Roger's wife.
En referencia a lo que decía antes, de que Steven Spielberg da oportunidad de aportar ideas propias a los personajes, en su caso yo aportó algo al personaje de Walter Morrow.
I hope my talent.
Or any extra idea?
No, I didn't have any of those. The thing about Stephen is that he knows more about the technique of making films than anybody there. The only thing he doesn't know about is acting. And so instead of making him hate actors, which some directors who have that feeling do, he just loves actors. So he wants them to always. It's not so much of contributing extra different lines. It's suppose you might do it like that, Stephen. Yeah, try that. One of the great things about Stephen is he worships old films, many old films, and there are many moments in the films, if you're a real aficionado, when you can see other films there. And sometimes you'll say, why am I doing this, Stephen? He said, well, there was a moment when John Wayne walked along this road, and just do it. And, you know, and that's a great thing, marvellous, very exciting. There are some moments which are very recognisable. In my Indiana Jones, there's a long sequence, you remember, with a lorry going along, and he goes underneath the lorry and comes at the back of it and doesn't lose his hat. This is absolutely John Ford Stagecoach, which was done with 4 horses, and John Wayne went under the horses, under the coach, and came out at the other end. That is Stagecoach. It was a homage to John Ford.
Ya para concluir las preguntas, ¿hay alguna pregunta que nadie le haya hecho que le gustaría que le hiciesen?
Why did I join? Or why did I enter this crazy, wonderful thing? And I'll say, because it is crazy and wonderful, and rewarding, happy making and miserable making, and all the things that human emotions are in this business. That's the answer to the question I've ever been asked. But I didn't know any of this when I started.
Pues nada, ya solo darle las gracias por esta oportunidad, y si pudiera mandar un saludo para la comunidad fan española de Indiana Jones, estaría muy agradecido.
Well, all fans, please keep doing it. Very flatteringly, you seem to need us, and we need you. The more of you, the better. And I think that being a serious fan is as good a hobby as any hobby. It's as good as collecting stamps or reconstructing motorcars. It's a very, very good thing to do. It helps us all.
Muchas gracias.
Okay. My pleasure.